kill any people. When you say you want justice, we want justice for the officers. We want justice for my brother. It can't be one-sided or for one group of people. You have to want justice for everyone. We want justice for Nathaniel. He's been sitting in prison for 16 years of his life for something he did not do. Why?
This episode covers the case of Nathaniel Woods, who was executed on the 5th of March 2020 for the murders of 3 police officers that occurred in 2004. Although Nathaniel was present at the time of the murders, Nathaniel was unarmed, had surrendered, and proceeded to flee the scene once the shots were fired. How is it possible a person surrenders to law enforcement, proceeds to run away in fear of their life, but ends up convicted for the crime of committing no crime? Stay tuned as we uncover the mystery. Our story begins in Birmingham, a large city in the north-central region of Alabama in the United States. Birmingham is described as culturally diverse, innovative, and although it being a large city, it maintains a warm and welcoming small-town atmosphere. In the 1950s and 60s, Birmingham, Alabama gained national and international attention as the center of the civil rights struggle for African Americans. This saw the rise of fearless activists such as Fred Shuttlesworth, James Breville, and where Martin Luther King had once been a pastor in the bid to end segregation.
I have a dream.
Nathaniel Woods was born on the 24th of October, 1976. Not much information is recorded about Nathaniel's upbringing, nor his early life, but according to the New York Times, Nathaniel became involved in a life of crime due to economic hardships and the lack of opportunities in the community of Birmingham, Alabama. Nathaniel would end up befriending an individual by the name of Kerry Spencer. The duo would many years later establish a drug operation from the apartment in which they lived in on 1600 block 18th Street, Ensley. Due to the nature of the business, Nathaniel and Kerry would often be in possession of drugs and large sums of cash. This would lead them to purchase firearms for protection and become very wary of police officers.
It's the police, open up!
In the morning of Thursday, the 17th of June 2004, Officer Carlos Owens responded to a suspicious activities report at Nathaniel's residence. Upon arrival, Officer Owens was met with a belligerent male who identified himself as Nathaniel Woods. Nathaniel was heard shouting and screaming and swearing at Officer Owens, telling him to get off his property and saying to Officer Owens, "You hide behind your badge and your gun, take those off and I will." Reportedly, Officer Owens took off his badge, but immediately placed it back on once a neighbor had spotted him. Due to the heightened tensions, and Officer Owens perceiving there was no way he could get the individual in the apartment to cooperate with him, he began to retreat to his vehicle. In his retreat, he allegedly said, "Once I get a warrant, I'll come back with enough body bags for you and everybody inside." Officer Owens proceeded to get in his vehicle and drive off. Armed with his name, officers conducted a search on the City of Birmingham files and the National Crime Information Center files, which showed there was an outstanding warrant for Nathaniel's arrest. Later that day, Officer Owens, along with Officer Harley Cusholum, Officer Charles Bennett, and Officer Michael Collins, returned to the apartment to serve Nathaniel with a warrant. Upon their arrival, Nathaniel remained belligerent, but was heard shouting and screaming at the officers in disbelief that the warrant was real. Observing that he was outnumbered, Nathaniel proceeded to turn and run deeper into the apartment. Unsure of what next to expect, Officer Owens, Cusholum, and Bennett pursued Nathaniel into the apartment, cornered him in the kitchen, and wrestled him to the floor. Seeing no way to evade his fate, Nathaniel proclaimed, "I give up, I give up, just don't mace me. Unbeknownst to the officers, these would be the very last steps they'd ever take. Because Kerry, who had been sleeping upstairs, immediately woke up in a panic, came running down the stairs, rifle in his hand, half dazed, and opened fire.
Order, shot fired, officer down, shot fired, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fired. Shot fired on your line.
Smoke in the air, rounds on the floor, blood on the walls. Nathaniel and Kerry realized the gravity of the situation. Immediately, they fled from the scene, running to a neighbor's apartment and pretending to be unaware of what had just occurred. Officer Collins, who had been crouching behind his police vehicle after sustaining a gunshot injury to his hip, had already notified for backup. Within moments, law enforcement flooded the scene. Upon their arrival, they found the bodies of their former acquaintances, colleagues, and friends sprawled across the hallway. Officer Bennett, who had sustained a gunshot wound to his head, lay motionless. Officer Owen and Officer Crishollam, who had sustained multiple gunshot injuries to the upper body, lay there, lifeless. Petrified, horrified, mortified, law enforcement began a manhunt like no other. Surely whoever not only harmed one, but three of their former colleagues was nothing short of armed and dangerous. With adrenaline in their veins and vengeance on their mind, police officers began stopping every vehicle, questioning every citizen, and going door to door. Whilst Kerry was hiding in his neighbor's attic, Nathaniel was casually seated on the front porch. However, these attempts of subtle subterfuge would fail, as police would soon discover them and take them into police custody. By the end of that day, Nathaniel and Kerry were charged with 4 counts of murder. Throughout Alabama, memorials are held for the fallen officers. The murders of the officers touched the nerve of the tight-knit community of Birmingham and Birmingham's police department. The loss was deep-seated, their anger soul-piercing, their hatred heart-wrenching. Birmingham's district attorney's office was headstrong and determined to hold whoever was responsible for the bloodiest day in Birmingham's police department to the highest degree and standard of the law. The trial of Nathaniel Woods began on the 3rd of October, 2005.
Order in the court.
At the trial, the prosecution would argue that Nathaniel was nothing more than a simple crack cocaine dealer with a deep disdain for law enforcement. The prosecutor would paint Nathaniel to be a violent, belligerent, and threatening individual whose only purpose in life was to harm law enforcement officers again and again and again. To hammer the point home, the prosecution would use song lyrics written by Nathaniel whilst he was in police custody, which read like this: 7 execution-style murders. I have no remorse. I'm a murderer. Haven't you heard of her? I drop pigs like I'm Carrie Spencer. So when I walk around strapped, one time bust the caps and watch the pigs collapse, snap, adapt to this because I need no adapter. This is just the first chapter. Undoubtedly, this painted Nathaniel to be a criminal mastermind who had purposely lured the officers into the apartment, knowing fully well that Kerry was armed, dangerous, and itching to take a life. However, Nathaniel's defense would argue that the officers had purposely harassed Nathaniel that very morning due to being allegedly involved in a payment for protection scheme, and having received no payments from Nathaniel's business, they were out and looking for trouble. The defense would further argue that Kerry was solely responsible for the murders of the 3 officers, and there was no possible way that Nathaniel could have known or perceived his friend's intentions that very morning. Prior to this, Nathaniel had rejected a plea deal, being misguided by his counsel, who told him and assured him that there was no possible way he could be convicted for murder since he never fired a single bullet. However, in the morning of the 10th of October, 2005, the jury stood and gave a spine-chilling decision. The verdict was guilty. The sentence was death. The decision tore the courtroom into 2, as some believed justice was being served, whilst others believed a grave miscarriage of justice was taking place. Nathaniel was swiftly taken to the Holman Correctional Facility and placed on death row. death row, a place where dreams, ambitions, and souls lay to waste. Nathaniel would spend the next 16 years of his life behind steel and concrete, with nothing but the bittersweet scent of death wafting through the air. During this time, many attempts were made to acquit Nathaniel, or perhaps give him a lesser sentence, but all these were to no avail.
It was an experience with this coronavirus scare. I was listening to my TV and something struck me, something I thought was horrible. It was a guy named Nathaniel Woods down in Alabama. Now, this guy was in a house with a friend. When some police officers came, I guess they wanted to talk to him and do something about some previous case. And while they were there, the friend flipped out. The friend flipped out, pulled a gun, and killed 3 police officers. Killed them. Now, that friend admits it was him. He admit he just flipped out and that Mr. Woods had nothing to do with it, didn't know nothing about it. He just flipped out. I'm against the death penalty, but you kill 3 cops or you're a serial killer or something, well, maybe you deserve capital punishment. In any event, tonight at 6 o'clock, they're planning to execute Mr. Woods, even though there's no premeditation or anything involved. They gave him a lawyer, a court-appointed lawyer that lost the case. Later on in his appeal, they gave him a lawyer who quit in the middle of the appeal, didn't tell him. He didn't find out until months later when it was too late. His appeal time had run out. Yet, they plan at 6 o'clock today to execute this guy. Not premeditated, knew nothing about it. The guy who did it completely admits it was all him. It's just wrong. I mean, come on, it's wrong. Black guy, of course, but I don't know if that matters or not. I'm just saying. Take care.
As the clock wound down, a crippling sense of injustice possessed the hearts and minds of many. From behind the walls of death row, Nathaniel's former best friend, Spencer, would write a letter pleading for Nathaniel's life. In the letter, Spencer would write, "Nathaniel is 100% innocent. I know this for a fact because I'm the one who, the 3 officers, that Nathaniel was charged and convicted with. I confessed to the shooting in my interrogation and at the stand." And one spine-chilling message at the end. "Don't allow my words to fall on blind eyes and deaf ears. This is my only fervent prayer." A prayer it was, and the prayer of many. And for a brief moment in time, it appeared as if these prayers had been answered when the U.S. Supreme Court gave a temporary stay for execution at 5:30 p.m. on the 5th of March 2020.
To make the most rational.
Right, I'm sorry. There's breaking news that the Supreme Court grants a temporary stay in that Your dad, there's a temporary stay. Wow.
She was talking, I wanted to say it right then.
Wow.
Listen,
Listen.
I wanna. We are. This is a moment. This is a moment in the city of Birmingham.
However, just a few short hours later, by 8 p.m., the court had lifted the sanction and given instructions for the execution of Nathaniel to proceed. Bewildered men by the right side, hopes fallen and shattered by the wayside. Many couldn't believe their eyes and ears, one of which was Kim Kardashian, who would promptly go on social media and post, "This is a tragic example of injustice in the system. In a few minutes, Nate may be dead for a crime he did not commit." Despite the cries, despite the pleas, despite the prayers, at
8:38 Central Standard Time, the state of Alabama carried out the execution of Nathaniel Woods by lethal injection at the William C. Holman Correctional Facility in Atmore, Alabama. Woods was executed for the 2004 capital murder of 3 Birmingham police officers. Mr. Woods was offered the opportunity to make a final statement, and he did not. He was pronounced deceased by a physician at 9:01 p.m.
grief, sorrow, misery, a bit of wine that many drank from that evening. At age 43, the candle of Nathaniel's life had been snuffed out, and all that was left was the smoke of injustice rising from the wick. Many would take onto social media, including Martin Luther King, who would post, "The actions of the Supreme Court and the governor were reprehensible and potentially contributed to an irreversible injustice." The controversy split the nation into two, and some argued that Nathaniel's participation warranted the punishment he received, and that his final breath had been long overdue. Whilst others would remain conflicted, questioning the evidence, unsure if the punishment fit the crime, and others would believe a man had not only been robbed of his years, but had been robbed of his life through a corrupt system. Needless to say, whether you think justice was served or a grave miscarriage of justice took place, one thing we can all agree on is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Although the prime focus of this video has been on Nathaniel Woods, it is of equal importance that we remember the victims of that fateful day in October 2004. Officer Harley Crishollam, a decorated ex-Marine, who was described as a hard charger with a heart as big as a mountain. Officer Charles Bennett, who was described as loyal, courageous, and generous, a hero to many, and a hero to his wife and 4-year-old daughter at the time. Officer Carlos Owens, who was described as a soldier for the city, a highly decorated 27-year veteran, and a grandfather who was set to retire. May their souls rest in peace, and may peace find the families.
To the coronavirus and how that might affect the census takers and the people being asked to open their doors.
Every individual now.
I'm the sister of Nathaniel Woods.
Excuse me, we're still doing the press gaggle.
You killed my brother. Governor Ivey, you killed my brother. He's an innocent man.
I'm so sorry. You guys can email me. Thank you.
He's an innocent man and you killed him.